Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on behalf of the Compliance Commission to the first training session for lawyers at our new premises that we share with the Securities Commission and Insurance Commission. The Compliance Commission is committed to helping you meet the legal requirements set out in the Financial Transaction Reporting Act 2018 and associated laws and guidelines. Our objective is to support the businesses we supervise to protect the economy and the Bahamian financial system from money laundering and terrorist financing activity and proliferation and vulnerabilities. We have taken steps during the past year to address the major deficiencies noted in the mutual evaluation of the Bahamas for the Compliance Commission, including the implementation of the risk-based supervisory framework, updating of our examination procedures, updating the codes of practice for lawyers, accountants, real estate brokers, and land developers in line with current Financial Action Task Force standards, bringing the dealers in precious metals and stone sector under supervision. A draft codes of practice was released last week. Notices were published in the newspaper, and the final codes will be issued in April, and the sector will be fully brought in to supervision by the end of the year. Establishing an enforcement unit and issued a policy on administrative penalties effective February 6, 2019. In April, we will roll out a new website which will improve our operational framework and more effectively utilize resources. This upgrade will allow online registration, exam submissions, data analytics, online engagement to select and approve accounting firm to conduct a risk-based examination, and provide training and educational material. We are also in the process of increasing resources to facilitate supervision and cause a timelier follow-up with financial institutions to address deficiencies. Beginning in April, we will step up our training and awareness program using the facilities here at Ponciana House by WebEx, and also training in Grand Bahama and Abaco. Additionally, we are developing concise guidelines based on feedback from our registrants on obligations, example, risk assessments, policies and procedures, suspicious transactions, and what to expect on a Compliance Commission examination to improve understanding and awareness. These will be released during April and over the course of the remainder of this year. Today, we will cover a number of topics, including the requirements of the policy and procedure document, compliance obligations under the FTRA, legislative updates, money laundering, terrorist financing, risks and vulnerabilities in the legal profession, and proliferation and terrorist financing. The Compliance Commission is a statutory body established under Section 39 of the Financial Transaction Reporting Act 2000, preserved and continued in existence under the 2018 Act for the purpose of ensuring compliance with the provisions of the Act. The functions of the Compliance Commission include to ensure compliance with the provision of the FTRA, conduct on-site examinations of the businesses of the financial institutions to ensure compliance with the provisions of the Act, issue codes of practice to provide guidance. The obligations in the codes are enforceable by law, and where the Commission is unable to conduct such examinations, to appoint an auditor at the expense of the financial institution. The legislative authority requires financial institutions to produce for examination records required to be kept pursuant to Section 15, records, and those are records obtained through CDD measures, including documents evidencing the identity of facility holders, beneficial owners, and records of transactions. Requires financial institutions to supply information, explanation, as the Commission may reasonably require for the purpose of enabling the Commission to perform its functions. Any person failing or refusing to produce any record or to supply any information, explanation is guilty of an offense, and persons can be liable for a fine not exceeding $50,000 or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years. The Compliance Commission has issued a policy on administrative penalties for registrants effective February 6, 2019. The Compliance Commission is responsible for ensuring financial institutions, DNFBPs, under its supervision, comply with AML CFT laws, regulations, and guidelines through a combination of registration, online and off-site examinations, a risk-based approach to AML CFT inspections, education, training, awareness, and directives, notices and guidelines where necessary. Our registrants are primarily lawyers, although real estate brokers and land developers are quickly closing the gap. We have about 186 approximately registrants, 69% are legal, 28% real estate, and small percentages from accountants and designated government agencies. The dealers in precious stones, that's in the pipeline, and they will begin registration in April. The AML-CFT legislation requires financial institutions, and these are the preventive measures and how we protect the system from abuse, to conduct and document a risk assessment of the business products, services, and operations to determine its level of exposure to the risks of money laundering, terrorist financing, and other identified risks. Establish written risk-based AML-CFT policy and procedures approved by senior management that comply with the provisions of the AML-CFT laws and guidelines. Appoint a money laundering reporting officer and a compliance officer. Identify and verify customers, beneficial owner, PEPs, and their source of funds. Apply enhanced CDD on high-risk clients. Keep transaction identification and verification records. Conduct ongoing monitoring of customer transactions. Report suspicious transactions of money laundering and terrorist financing to the FIU, the police, and other relevant agencies. Ensure the management and appropriate staff receive training, AML-CFT training annually. Conduct internal AML-CFT compliance reviews of its operations at least once per year. Submit to AML-CFT risk-based examination by the Commission and its appointed agents. Comply with the provisions of the ATA 2018 POCA. Screen clients against UN sanctions lists related to terrorist financing and proliferation financing. Freeze any related funds. Report to the FIU and relevant competent authorities. So in short, that's the nuts and bolts of your obligations.